Hello everyone, 3 different races, 3 different winners. That has been the message and what we have seen here in XRS so far. I'm Fan2403, joined alongside AKDJ 2006 for race 4 at Sonoma Short. I would like to give a huge shout out to here AK, in my absence last week, was able to put on a broadcast and able to go. So AK, a thank you to you. And based off of what we've seen, how could this race go this week?
Yeah, I mean, so far we've had 3 different winners. So, and in practice we've seen multiple people be fast. So really, we could see a 4th winner tonight, or we could see MVP try to be the first repeat winner of the season so far, going back to back.
Very much could be the set in stone of what we could see tonight. MVP, he was very fast at both Magello and Brands Hats last week. And now we still have our veteran front runners up there. Culture, Cart, in row 2 there, the 2 owners. Also, two-time champion right there in second in the front row with Hawk. Speaking of, let's go through the grid we have here tonight. In first, we have Off-Road, who so far has had solid start to this season, looking for more momentum. Next to him, JD Mix Hawk, as we stated earlier. In second, row 2, we have the 2 owners, Cart and Culture. So hopefully those guys don't have too much pressure with the owners behind them. And then behind Cart and Culture, we have D-Dog in row 3. Then after him, or before him rather, skipped over because the field got shuffled around, we have Oracle. So a lot of fast guys in that top 6. Reno off track for a second. I don't know what happened there. A lot of fast guys in those top 6. AK, you want to take over the rest?
Yeah, sure. So in 7th place we have Panda, running the number 17 birthday car for himself. Behind him in 8th place we find Cam. Behind those 2 in 9th place we find Reno. Next to him on the 5th row we have Smokey. Behind him is Edwards. In 11th we have INC, one of the first rookies, in row number 11, or sorry, not 11, in 11th place. Behind him we have Gomez in 13th place, 13th place, and that will not round out the field, sorry. FM2 Gomez is outside, and then we have MVP in the row behind them, and Girl Next Door behind them.
Going around the kink, turn 12, green flag. Off-road taking already the early charge in front, you're able to get in front of Hawk. First 2 cars lined up single file, D-Dog contesting back for the 4th position.
Already some changes for the lead with Off-Road taking first place. Hawk is trailing right behind him, and behind those 2 is Culture and Cart, and then D-Dog driving at the top 5.
Cars already trying to make their way single file. On the restarts, you're not going to see people be very competitive all the way until really the turn 2-3 area on the uphill. Turn 2. That's a very challenging part of the track, but if you're side by side with a car in low speeds off of a restart, you can carry a lot of momentum and a lot more grip than you had before.
Car just made a nice slide job on Culture there. Culture sort of messed up, went too wide.
Oh, going
now
for Hawk.
Contacts between Culture and Hawk and Cart and all 3 of those guys.
Already getting dicey, and we just finished lap 1 of the race. So, just to show you how competitive these guys can be, like we said, top 6 started with a lot of fast guys, and so far they've shown out that way. Field already spread out a lot. We have a couple of gaps all the way. MVP's actually all the way in the back, even though he was fastest in practice, so I'm sure we'll see him make his way to the front here soon.
Yeah, I think that might have been a strategy, sort of let all the chaos happen on the restart and try and pick off people while that chaos is happening and make your way slowly but silently to the front.
Right alongside with Culture, who's needing to defend against a hungry dog. D-Dog, that is. D-Dog, he had a lot of success last season, as now Culture goes wide, D-Dog takes advantage of the spot.
Culture was just mowing the
Dog
lawn
had a lot
there.
of success. He had a lot of success last season. He was running a solid top 5 race here last season, but was unable to really conquer, and it was mainly because of last couple laps incident between him and another driver. I believe it was Titan.
Yeah.
Though Titan not in this race, so we don't have to worry much about
Culture's
that.
around. He gets
Culture!
tire wall.
Into the tire wall, spinning around on the uphill.
He definitely will have damage. That was a very heavy impact.
That was...
Never
yeah,
mind.
the car did a
Never mind.
360.
Redact that last statement. I'm hearing he did not, in fact, get damage. So, lucky break from there.
Well, lucky break. It was a tire wall, so that probably helped with absorbing a lot of that impact. But Culture, that's usually a mistake.
Making mistakes early.
I need to give a little chuckle at that, because that's not something that you usually see every day.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure his thought process is get the mistakes out early and not later.
Probably, but we know his mindset. We know he can easily recover. Riding alongside now, we have the birthday boy, Panda. You're used to seeing Panda in the 15. Oh, yes, I see that off of 12 now. Or into 12. Let's go to Cart. Oh, my God. Off-road, Hawk, car, all on. Cart goes wide. He messes up. Into the tire wall he goes, but doesn't look like he sustained much. And look at that. D-Dog. So D-Dog was able to get around with ease 2 people because of mistakes.
I mean, I think that's sort of the strategy that MVP has sort of gone for, and maybe sort of predicting what was going to happen. That maybe those two realize that maybe they should start in the back to avoid all this chaos early on.
Yeah, and it looks like we've already had the field spread out so much that now we could be catching lap traffic soon with Gomez being all the way at turn 11 while these guys are rounding turn 10. Oh, Gomez to pit road, actually. He's off the track there on the map.
Might have had damage. That might be why he's sort of off pace a lot there. Maybe he just didn't realize he had damage until just now. But obviously not the sort he was looking for coming into this race. So.
And obviously he didn't get to a point to where he wanted to call the yellow. Or unless he is, because I can't tell if Hawk is wanting to slow down or not. Nope, not.
Cam to the inside of Cart for 4th place, and Cart shuts the door on Cam. Cam really wide.
Oh, Cam, yeah, all the way wide there in the grass. When we say you're allowed to use runoff, I don't think that's what we quite mean. Using the runoff all the way in the grass.
I mean, I don't think there's a rule against it, but whether it gives you a competitive advantage or not, I would say probably
it does not.
I would say probably not.
It does not give you a competitive advantage going into the grass, unless you're trying to shortcut the corner, and that is a really big no-no. There, he's not trying to shortcut at all. He went wide.
Yeah, sort of like Cart cutting the grass earlier in this race.
And Culture, yeah.
Yeah, and Culture. Everyone just wanted to help Sonoma's ground crew out a little bit, I see, tonight.
Mm-hmm. There's a car that stopped, and now they're gone. Reno, he left, but we know he was actually expected to leave prior to the start of the race. Gomez, I believe he left too.
Yeah.
Yep, Gomez, DNF.
Yeah, I don't think that was... Oh, either of those guys wanted to start off the race. Obviously, Reno's sort of in the better position if he had to leave. Obviously, winning the first race of the season at Daytona. But still will hurt him in points for sure.
And for a lot of the guys in the points, there's a certain person leading the race right now that you do not want to see in the lead. Hawk, he is the current championship leader, points leader, but he only has 2 points over second place, but Second in the standings, yeah, all the way back in 10th, that being MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Hawk, I'm sure,
So,
wants to stay in that top three, obviously, to continue that streak. Now, 3 weeks in a row, he's been in the top three. broke a streak last week, though, in finishing third. Broke that last week by finishing second. But if he finishes top three in this race, it'll be 4 weeks in a row that Hawk has been in the top three, which would be the most consistent driver so far this season.
which is why he's in the points lead right now. All those points are right there up front. All there right front, and because it's so crucial, because you either need to be winning a lot or you need to be consistent. Because the way that our points work, there is a 5-point gap between first and second place. First place gets 50, second place gets 45. So already, that's a huge gap. That's a huge gap, considering that fifth on back goes down by 1 point, or sixth on back, sorry, goes down by 1 point. So creating that separation really makes it to where you're consistently in those top 5, top 3s, then you're really helping yourself out. And you'll help yourself out more later on come time for the playoffs with those playoff points that you're racking up finishing in the top 3.
Wreck D-Dog around in turn number 12. Cam, contact with Cam. He's now driving backwards.
Yep, we caught him late on that spin. He's trying to recover, needing to now hold off Panda. Panda will get by, I believe. They're side by side in the one. Panda sneaks on by.
D-Dog lost about 3 positions for that. Cam, Oracle, and Culture were the 3 cars that passed him during that, all cleanly for the most part, besides obviously Cam giving that contact. I don't think it was accidental, just a missed braking zone on that one.
Unfortunate luck right there. Fortunate luck right there for D-Dog, but hey, it's only lap 9. You can easily make your way back up, and now he's just trying to bump Panda out of the way. D-Dog knows he's the faster car, and now after a spin, I wouldn't be roughing up his tires that much after a spin, but once again, it's still early. It's not like we're 20 laps into a run on those tires.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone knows that everyone's going to come in around the same time for tires. Just because they're going to get to that point where there's just going to be not much grip. But you can run tires actually fairly long on Sonoma, short here. So we'll see how long people will want to last on those tires before they want to decide to pit.
Yeah, Sonoma, it's one of those tracks that, one, you need to be super smooth. You need to be smooth because this is one of the more technical circuits, not just on our schedule, but one of the most technical circuits in Forza, because the way that you really need to go about and need to try and run your best is, okay, Sector 1, all the way, the S's. You need to be smooth, and you have all the elevation changes. All those elevation changes, that can change your car's momentum and how you want to run it. Sector 2, another set of S's. Another set of S's with just one long straightaway, and it's really making it to where, once again, you're just trying to carry more momentum, and you have a lot of shift left and right in your tires. And finally, that final sector, as Oracle goes off track, the final sector, the hairpin. Hairpin, this is easily the heaviest braking zone on the track, and this is a spot to where you can give someone the bump and run to try and make it to turn 12. But this track's so technical, and a lot of guys, they just need to be smooth all the way around. Already a gap formed between the top 3 cars. Each have a significant gap between each other. Biggest gap being from second to third. Off-road just trying to keep up with Hawk. And then Kart Racer, he is in an island of himself. He has a big gap to the cars in front of him and a big gap to the cars behind him. As of right now, early on, it's just really a matter of just running your race, trying to see if you can gain ground, or hopefully have Hawk or Off-Road make mistakes so you can gain ground quicker. Running alongside with Culture.
Culture made Oracle made a mistake the second time, the second lap in a row, coming into turn number 12 onto the little slant, turn number 11 there. Or sorry, turn 12, turn number 10 there, going off into the grass.
Cam
goes off the road.
Yep, Cam goes wide, and turn 6, Culture will take advantage of that.
These little mistakes will add up, and that's where you'll see most of your passes, on these little mistakes, going a little bit wide, getting into the grass, where you see the most time gained and probably the most positions gained.
Yep, Culture really trying to put the power down. Let's see if he's able to go smooth through 10. And he will. And there you go, see? Culture had a smoother 10, and now there's a gap between them now.
But he does send it in pretty deep. That gives Cam a little bit of an opening, but he can't quite get the grip on those back tires, so that little bit of opportunity will go away a little bit there.
Just a tad bit. Going back towards D-Dog. D-Dog and Panda, they're still next to each other.
Yeah, these two have been around each other for a while as Panda walks up the brakes there a little bit. Oh, Panda getting real loose. D-Dog will try to capitalize.
Loose off the corner. D-Dog also loose on the top of the hill.
Oh, a little bit
Going
of contact.
into 6, yep, little bit, but he's not able to get there. Panda's just smoking the tires every corner.
Oh, there.
Contact made then there. You don't want to be side by side here.
Who's gonna back out? Give him a chicken. And Panda's around.
Neither one of them!
And they're both into each other.
They're both.
And Panda's now off-roading it, WRC style.
Yep.
Now Formula Drift.
Panda's all the way off. Neither driver gave give and take right there, and Panda, he made a mistake. That started all the way back turn 2.
Yeah.
That started all the way back turn 2 at the top of the hill, and D-Dog finally gets the pass all the way in turn 10 as D-Dog then goes wide and wide!
Oh. It does not sound like Panda was too happy about the move, but I think he got his justice that next lap. And D-Dog's just off-roading the track now.
Wide again. Wow. All of these. You see all of this happening. Meanwhile, if we do a lap right away, because right here, Hawk's coming out of the hairpin. We do a lap with Hawk. See how many mistakes he makes in comparison to Panda and D-Dog these past few laps. Sure, there could be some, because no one's perfect.
And
Hawk actually coming up on lap traffic.
D-Dog off-roading a tiny bit more to the back side of the S's. And he taps the wall a little bit as well, coming out of 12 or 11, sorry.
Hawk gets around the lap car, INC. See, but Hawk all the way through, very minimal mistakes. He just chipped the grass barely over a curb. Other than that, unless he makes a mistake through 10. Nope, didn't quite make a mistake. So there you see the comparison of Hawk in a lap compared to what D-Dog and Panda were doing.
somebody who's silently been gaining, who we thought would have qualified higher, as MVP, was silently moved up to 5th place through all the chaos that's come ahead of him. Did tap him a little bit coming into the backside of those S's to get that position, but just a little bit, just a little tap. But he silently worked his way up to 5th place.
Yep, MVP, very much a fast driver. Not as fast as a driver that we had the race the past 2 weeks, that being Vanquish. But MVP still ran second. He ran second to him at Mugello. And we know he has pace. So, if anything, MVP, he probably just wanted to be put into the back of the grid.
And it was
gives him more practice.
And it was off-roading a little bit again. But he got back on track relatively quick. He was out of turn 3 was where he did his off-roading a little bit. Speaking of off-road, he's held second for most of this race. Sort of just been trailing Hawk silently for most of this race.
And good on him being able, Hawk off-road, they were both able to get a good jump at the start. And they've stayed 1-2 pretty much almost the entirety of the race. Kart Racer, he contested up there in the top 3. And now the field's just spread out. The 2 position cars that are close together are Cam and Oracle. And then that is it in terms of cars racing for position. Because I believe Kart is near another driver.
Yeah, Kart is right next to INC.
Lap car.
Yeah, INC is just past lap car INC. Obviously another one of the rookies here tonight. And Kart's mowing the lawn again.
Still right along with Kart. MVP now catching up to Culture.
He's going to challenge Culture for 4th place. Culture's going to
they're side by side. Yep. Culture, he's not going to hang it in there. He's not going to send it in turn 1.
Oh.
Or turn 2. Oh, and MVP tags the lap car.
Culture sent it in a little too hot and tapped the back of MVP, and MVP tapped the back of INC, and it just started a chain reaction and sent INC straight off into turn number 1. Or sorry, turn number 2, rather.
So, just sent it in a little bit too much there, and now MVP, he's up to 4th.
Like I said, MVP, I think his strategy was to sort of linger around in the back of the pack, let the chaos happen, and then just sort of capitalize on everyone else's mistakes, and that's exactly what he's done to get up to 4th place right now.
So now we can actually get into the discussion of this. We go back with Hawk here. One, if you're the top 3 right now, you know there's a fast guy in 4th, and he's charging with a full head of steam to the front. But right now, we're approaching the first pit cycle. Within the next few laps, we will have cars on pit road, as I believe Smokey moves out of the way for Hawk. We will have cars in pit road within easily the next 4 or 5 laps. So, if you're either MVP or the top 3, are you each trying to get ahead of each other? Or are you just going to run your normal strat that you set in stone prior entering the race?
I think you just run your normal strat, because you know most of everyone will be running almost completely different strats, because there are honestly a lot of opportunities to pit here for Sonoma. So there'll be about 3 or 4 strategies, I believe, tonight. So I say you run your strat and you see if it works for you. If it doesn't, maybe by your second stop, I think you start changing it up a little bit. You sort of see when the leaders are going in, when versus when you're going in, and then you adjust from there.
Let's ride along here with MVP. We're going to see he's charging with a full head of steam on Kart Racer. He's only around, probably around half second back to Kart, and he's obviously making ground quickly.
Yeah, obviously MVP was the fastest in practice, which is why we sort of expected him to qualify up front. But like I said, I think his plan was to qualify back, knowing this track like he does. Right on the bumper right now of Kart. MVP is he's just sort of sitting there waiting for Kart to make one small mistake. That's all it really takes. Going wide by just half an inch could really do it.
Well, and when we know MVP has the raw pace to probably pass him, but Kart, he's a two-time champion. He's not going to give in so easily, so he will be on the defensive. And I'm sure once even MVP has gotten around Kart, then that could be another opening opportunity for Kart to try and hold him back off. Because there's always the crossover, there's always the bump and run. There's many different ways that you can get around a driver once they pass you.
Yeah, I mean, we're only a quarter into the race, so right now MVP's just trying to be cautious, not too aggressive, because Sonoma is a very unforgiving track with all that grass along its sides and the tire walls everywhere. It's sort of a very tight track, very technical track, as we said. So just be a little cautious. It's only a quarter way through the race. You're already up in the full. You don't really need to push it too much. You know, it's about to come around here soon, as there's a car off ahead of him, 13th place, FM.
Yep, FM, and he's going to get out of the way, let these two race.
There won't be a caution for FM this time, as
There's
MVP dives to the inside, and he'll take it.
it.
Kart trying to make the crossover.
Kart, yep, trying to get the crossover, not quite able to get there. And so now MVP is on by for third. Kart not able to contest. Now there is one more car in between MVP and off-road in second, the lap car. That is Smokey. Lap car Smokey in between them.
Yeah, and we know Smokey will get out of the way for these two in a position when he can. Obviously, if we're in the S's, I doubt he'll give it up. But I'm sure coming into turn number 11, I'm sure he will go wide if MVP can catch him by there. Just being smart with where and when he can give that to them, because Smokey doesn't want to interfere with the racing of lead lap cars, for sure.
And I'm sure Smokey will move out of the way for MVP when he makes his charge.
I think he'll catch him just
and
about
back
where.
With Panda.
I'm pretty sure he'll catch him right around where off-road and Hawk caught him in about the 5th or 6th turn on that little runoff areas. I think where MVP will catch him at, and where Smokey will give him the spot. Wait, not. It does sound like people are planning to come in here as soon, just listening to the radio chatter of all the drivers. It does sound like some are planning to come in very soon.
Yep, as I said earlier, and Panda goes off with Edwards in turn 2. Panda not having the greatest run with grass.
Wall. Going to turn number 11. Does sound like some drivers have extended a little bit. some minor
Yep,
warnings
off-road,
coming out.
he's in. Off-road, he's in the pits, so that's the first driver who went to go to pit road.
Yeah. So pit cycle has just started. We'll see drivers start slowly coming in this lap, and probably the next 5 laps, I'd say, are where we'll see everyone pit.
Oracle, the next driver that went into pit road. Panda also came down into the pit lane. Now the leader, Hawk, makes his way to pit road.
And here's where we'll see the interesting strat. MVP obviously has worked his way to second, so we'll see if he comes in and follows the leader, or doesn't. He will not. So he'll now try and take the lead. Third
Kart
place,
Racer does not go in.
Yeah, so these guys won't go in. So they're probably going to wait a couple more laps. It wouldn't shock me if Kart waits till MVP comes in to do it, or if he thinks he can sort of beat him coming into pit. So beat him on the pit cycle.
And Cam, he does not go in. D-Dog, he's now in.
Hawk only falls back to 3rd position from that pit too, so he actually didn't fairly do too bad actually.
We will see as the pit cycle out here. We will see if more cars obviously need to go in. Let's see if MVP and Kart, as they ran their way around 10, will go in this time. MVP, no.
Next door and Edward are
battling. Kart now.
Are battling for 7th right now. They're pretty much bumper to bumper. See the 2 different lines there between Next door and Edwards. So we'll look on the inside now. He'll take 7th place from Edwards.
Now, I'm really curious as to when Kart and MVP will make their way to pit road.
Well, they're gonna have to come in
because
relatively shortly here. I know for a fact that they're both going to be running on pretty low fuel by this point. I'd recommend they can only. I would assume they could only go maybe 3 more laps tops. 2 to 3 more laps tops with the fuel that they have right now.
Once again, MVP not looking like he's going into pit road, and Kart Racer, no.
Yeah, they're going to try and extend their fuel windows as long as possible. Because really, that's what you're going for at Sonoma is fuel. Sometimes tires, if you're really pushing it, your tires can get cooked pretty fast, but usually it's for fuel rather than tires.
Edwards, he made his way to pit road.
Right now the field's really spread out. There's no real groupings of cars. There's one that looks like there might be forming soon with 11th and 12th, that being Smokey and Panda. But that'll be in a little bit here. But right now the field's relatively spread out.
Let's go back again as MVP rallies around 10.
I do think Kart will come in here either
No
this lap or
this
next
time.
lap because it looks like his tires are struggling. Here he comes right now.
Yep. So now Kart goes in. And now MVP, he's not in.
Yeah, Kart was
MVP still not bidding.
Kart coming through the back back of the track as he was looking very slow in those corners. I think his tires were pretty well cooked, and I think he just decided now was the time to come in compared to those tires.
Usually warm, hot, slick tires is what you want. And Panda, ooh, as we went with Hawk, Panda went into the wall, turn 2.
I do think it was a controller disconnect there. I'm waiting for the word.
And INC.
Caution is
DNF.
out. Caution is out. I'm hearing it from race control right now. Caution is out for Panda.
Right. Caution will be out on the speedway. Now, with the caution then coming out, MVP cannot go into pit road, because once caution is called by race control, pit road is closed. So now, MVP in a little bit of conundrum here. He extended his pit cycle. He might have pit earlier in the race. In which is why he's been able to extend all the way so far. But truly here, maybe he's just trying to run the tank out. Because your tires go a little bit depending on where you are in fuel. Tires, they tend to lose grip depending on how quick you're pushing the car. They will lose grip before you run out of fuel. But with a guy with MVP and his skill, he is able to maybe save his tires, to where his tires actually still have quite a bit of grip in them. And now, if he's trying to run the tank out all the way to the end, he's going to need to come to pit road soon. Pit road will be open this time per the caution procedures. Excuse me.
Yeah. So while we're on this caution, why don't we go through just sort of a few facts about this track, if you don't mind. Obviously, this track.
Go right ahead.
Obviously, this track located in the USA of California, just 30 miles north of San Francisco and Oakland. The current circuit we're on right now opened in 2001, aka the short/hub circuit, with the track itself being Sonoma, opened up in 1968. So, I mean, a lot of history to this track. Now we're going more throughout the day, if we get more cautions, obviously. But yeah, 1968 so far. I believe the second oldest track we've been to so far on the schedule, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be a couple international tracks on there. MVP goes to pit road. Yeah, because we knew MVP could not stay out. So only him and maybe one or two others maybe might have went into pit road as well. A lot of cars just going around trying to get their lap back. But now MVP, with that pit strat, is going to get cycled all the way back. He's going to get cycled all the way back to 7th. So losing 7 spots on the pit cycle, not ideal.
Yeah, I mean,
not ideal.
That's sort of the risk you take by trying to extend that fuel as that a caution comes out. Obviously, Cart timed it perfectly, with literally lost 1 spot, all in all, because he pitted 1 lap just before the caution came out. Unfortunately, MVP did not follow that same strat and lost multiple spots for it, 7 to be exact.
See, and so there we saw the different strategies come into play. We saw the first comers automatically dive in the pit road the second the pit window opened. Then we had others who just stayed out just a tad bit longer, meaning only a lap or 2, none more, none less. We saw the third strategy, Cart. He decided to extend it, but not extend it as far as MVP did. MVP, he was really just trying to run the tank out, and that's what ends up happening. So, good prediction out of the dot. We did see a mixture of 4 strategies there. The guys could come in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was hearing from teams that teams have multiple strategies, upwards of 2 strategies for some teams. So drivers are able to opt which strategy they wanted at every moment there to see which one was better. Cart opted for one of them, and it looks like it paid off well for him. Whichever one of the two he picked, obviously his team had two strategies. So
These first two rows look familiar.
yeah, they look pretty familiar. I think we were culturing cart reversed on the start, or were they in the same positions?
Might have been the same positions. I don't know. Um, first two rows the same as they were as the start. So, yep, those four guys, they're not going anywhere. MVP, he's gonna have a lot of work to do to get back up to the front. And looks like they are not going to start this time. Waiting for more cars to get cycled back into the field.
Yeah, a couple stragglers that are coming back, and
so we will go another lap.
Another car parks it off of turn number 1 there. It was next door number. the radio chatters just realized that they are back where they started in the top 2 rows. But the girl next door, number 26 car, stopped off turn number 1. I don't know if there might be a problem there or what. He's now moving again. I'm assuming he will be at the tail end of the field for the tree start, though.
Might have needed to. Obviously, all the drivers in the race tonight, we do have outside lives, stuff that we might need to do, whether it be. I've been in the position of these guys in the field before, also UAK, so I'm sure you know. During a caution, you quickly ask the race directors. You go, "Can I pull off real quick?" And I'll come back around, be at the tail end. So me and you, we've been through that. So obviously pulling off track, it just looks a little weird on stream, but completely comfortable when you're in the field.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as quickly grabbing a water to drink, or grabbing a sip of water even. But
yes, except me and you need to do that more.
Yeah,
than
we
the
need
driver.
to do it a little more often than the drivers, because they're not obviously speaking nearly as much as we do during this race. But pretty funny that our first 2 rows are pretty much the same, if not the exact same.
Same 4 drivers in the same 2 rows. They might be. Second row might be flipped.
They will be going green.
Either way, it's the first 4 drivers. Field all grouped up this time. As per race control, we will go green. Hawk has control. He gets the jump.
Cart had a lot of wheel spin off that start. He couldn't quite get that start that he wanted. Hawk with a very good jump. Oh, one car almost sideways. That's D-Dog. MVP being bullied around. Coming into turn 1. 2 cars almost sideways. Multiple contacts behind them in 9th place.
A lot of contact behind. Oracle able to get himself to 3rd place on that start.
FM is around in front of the pack.
Yep.
FM touched that grass just with half a tire and it spun his car around. Very unfortunate for him. He'll lose a lot of spots for that.
The car right there gets a little light because you're in that one of those elevation changes at that point of the speedway, and it's really, if you get your car feeling the wrong way and you don't have a good sense of how your car feels, that's what's going to happen. Exactly what FM did.
Yeah, and especially with that weight change and that grass being there, FM had about half a tire on that grass and he spun right around, had no chance to save it. And lucky he wasn't tagged by one of the 4 cars behind him. Those being Panda, Girl Next Door, Edwards, and Smokey all missed him. Or else he would have had a very bad restart, obviously, because there's a lap count for when we can have our next caution.
Yep, and that's only to prevent cautions happening right on top of each other. The only time that we will call a yellow, or race control will call a yellow after a restart of a caution, It's solely because the restart was deemed not clean. It was deemed not clean, or they... The only way that happens is that if multiple drivers or if one driver wrecks right off the start. And it needs to be not on their own. So, no, you can't just spin yourself coming to the restart. A physical crash actually needs to happen amongst multiple drivers in order for them to technically get a second caution. But all that does, that regroups the field back into the positions that they were in, so then we can get the restart back going again.
Yeah, and I remember last year when we came here, that actually did happen. Right off a restart, we had, I believe,
it was back and block, yes.
All but 2 cars off the restart be involved in a crash, as the track was completely blocked off the restart. So, stuff like that can happen. It has happened even here. So it's not out of the question, but very unlikely.
There's a handful of areas on this track to where it's tighter than you think, because instead of a runoff or instead of grass being there's a wall, and the start and finish line being one of those places, there's a wall on either side of you, and so if cars spin in that area, automatically that's going to get real tight. You're not going to be in a place to where you can easily dodge. There's no apron runoff like you can at other tracks, so really a crucial area not to get a bunch of cars turned around.
Yeah, and I mean, if 2 cars are sideways on that front stretch, or from front stretch to about the first corner, that track is basically completely blocked. There's no way around it. So if you're coming around that corner blind and nobody's called it out yet, you're pretty much just driving into it because you cannot stop in time. Oh, contact in turn number 11 between Cart and MVP.
Cart MVP, that's been a couple times that we have seen contact, not amongst those two, but we've seen contact in turn 11, and it makes sense. That's a really heavy braking zone, and so a lot of guys are either going to brake really early or they're going to brake really late, and that can cause all that mesh of contact that can happen.
Yeah, and it also could be just cars hitting the brake a little too hard. They lock up, they go straight on. If they're on the inside, they're bound to tap the person to their outside if there is one. So we'll see that a lot throughout the night. It'll be if the person will give the position back if they are hit, or if they won't, really. And I think MVP did give that position back to Cart there. Not wanting to race in that way, of course. So far, 2 packs are essentially forming 1st through 5th, and then from 6 all the way, or sorry, 1st through 6th and 7th through 10th, or 11th, pardon me, are really the 2 packs, and we have 2 strangler cars behind those 2 packs.
Off the restart, this is similar to what we saw at the very start of the race. We saw the first few guys already getting lined up behind each other, bumper to bumper, making their way through, and then the cars, they just rotate themselves off at the back. But everything has gone by clean so far, so okay, crank it up.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, let's crank it up.
Oh,
wait, right away,
mind.
MVP, never mind.
MVP with a
MVP
ginormous,
hard.
Huge hit to MVP. So far, no hearing from the race control. It sounds like it will be kept green somehow. I don't think MVP had damage from that. Never mind. Never mind. Scratch that. Caution at the line.
Yeah, it will be a caution at the line, and right as we said, it was going to be tame. Sonoma strikes.
Spoke a little too soon.
Yep, caution is now out.
So now MVP is even farther back, dropped all the way down to 12th from that. I would like to see Cart's point of view from that, because Cart went right under him. But,
very... I don't know if that was commentator's curse
or
Whatever it might have been.
yeah. But I mean, well, like I said, as we get cautions throughout the night, we'll go through a couple of facts about Sonoma. So I say we go through another one since we are on caution again. While we wait for everyone to line up and go through pits.
All right, you can go right ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So Sonoma has gone through six name changes throughout its time, obviously from 1968 to 2022. When the track first came out in 1968, it was called Sears Point Raceway, and that lasted from 1967, so the day of groundbreak, all the way to 1980. And in 1981, it changed to Golden State Raceway. After the 1981 season, in 1982, it changed back to Sears Point Raceway from 1982 to 2002, when Infineon, the company, took over its naming rights in 2002, and it was then labeled Infineon Raceway from 2002 to 2012. And then after the 2012 season, it finally landed on its current name, Sonoma Raceway, from 2012 to the present. So 6 different name changes through 5 different names. I think it's the most name changes on any one of the series, on any one of our races so far, for sure. And in the NASCAR schedule, as we go by pits, we'll see who comes in and who doesn't. As we see, FM will not be, but Smokey will be going into pits. He'll take the chance here, fueling up. So only one car coming in this time, obviously because we just had a caution, so that makes perfect sense as the pit cycle has just gone through, only one car in. That makes perfect sense. For the first time, we have a change in the top 4, but only one car. Oracle being that car, currently in 3rd place. So pretty much the same 4 or 5 drivers we're seeing up front so far. Off these starts. So obviously top 4 now have a slight, very, very slight change, that being Oracle and that number 10 car in 3rd place. So they'll be lining up this time, and it sounds like they'll be going green according to race control, or will attempt to go green this time. Like I said, I'd love to see Car's point of view from that. It probably would have looked close to Bubba Wallace at Talladega this year with Joey Logano flipping, last year rather. At Talladega when Joey Logano flipped, it probably would have looked something similar. Because Cart went right underneath MVP there. That was very close to a very bad incident. Luckily, no incident had happened. So we will be going green this time, by the looks of it. Coming out of turn number 11, obviously the lead car, that being Hawk, Off-Road, will have the green flag at his disposal. Coming out of turn 12. Hawk will have it, and the green flag back in the air. Coming down to turn number 1, Hawk with a great jump. We'll look behind the field. Side-by-side throw out, and Panda hits the wall. He'll go wide. Keep it on the track, though. Everything seems fine. Edwards is around. He'll cause a stack up. MVP will hit him. Oh, no. MVP with more trouble. Coulter now goes wide. 3 wide for 3rd. MVP looks to be decently fine. The leaders come down, some slight contact there for 8th place. Bunch of contact on this restart. Probably not the cleanest restart so far tonight, but it definitely is one. D-Dog now finds his way up to 4th. He's been silent throughout the night. Hart will move up to 3rd from 5th place, so not bad restart for him. I'm going to go check on MVP, see if he has any damage. It does not look like he has any damage done. We'll check Edwards as well as Panda. Obviously, those 3 were involved. Edwards, also no damage. and Panda has no damage either. So it looks like it'll be a clean restart. Like we said, that almost could have been classified as a second yellow flag, back-to-back yellow flags, but was not this time. Bumper to bumper to bumper from third through seventh. Now side by side coming into these first S's turns 4 through 6. Everyone will keep it clean through here on the restart. Now everyone's pretty much single file, but there's still some tight racing. Oracle misses braking zone, almost absolutely obliterated the back of D-Dog. It looked like Cam might have missed it a little bit too. That was a very bad corner for Oracle. He loses a lot of time to D-Dog and now falls back to Cam in 6th place. Cam completely sideways. He's now mowing the lawn. Not going to quite go back all the way to the other side, but very loose through there. Not the great corner for him. D-Dog will go a little bit wide now. Coming into turn number 10. Turn number 12. Very tight racing from 6th through 7th. That being Cam, Girl Next Door, and Culture, I believe. So some very good racing off this restart for sure. A lot of contact. Probably the most entertaining restart so far tonight, for sure. But definitely a lot going on throughout these first couple of laps. Oh, D-Dog now taps that wall, that MVP tap just a few laps ago. This opens up the door for Oracle now. Oracle now looking to the inside. Technically now the outside. He'll have the inside for the first S, but not the second. D-Dog will overtake him now, just simply because of how the track is laid out. But Oracle missing an opportunity for now, but he's showing that he does have some speed and that he is right there if D-Dog does make another mistake. We'll see if Oracle dive bombs now here. He won't, but Cam definitely sending it deep into there. Looks like he did gain a little bit of ground through there. Some great racing from 4th through 4th. Oh no, Oracle, big crash. Collects Cam. Track is almost blocked. Huge incident on the front stretch. Just like we said, caution is out. That'll be the 4th one of tonight. Oracle with a big contact and collects Cam with it. Very unfortunate. And INC now has left. Very, very, very big wreck. And that's what we said about that very early on in the front stretch, is that when one car hits it, and if a second car gets involved, the track is basically blocked, and Cam just had nowhere to go, no time to react, and just ran right into the door. Oracle. So Oracle drops from about 5th place all the way down to 13th. Very unfortunate for him, losing 8 spots in that affair. Cam, on the other hand, also does lose spots. He falls from 6th to 9th, only 3 spots, so he obviously kept it straight. But caution obviously is out on the track. Leader currently will still be Hawk. Off-road. Basically the same 4 again in the top 4. Well, like I said, with every caution we'll go through another fact. So let's go through another fact about Sonoma. Sonoma's raced probably the most diverse amount of series in its lifetime. Notable series that have raced here, such as NHRA on its drag strip in the middle of it, of course. The Le Mans series, obviously NASCAR. Daytona Prototypes have also raced here for 2 years before that was shut down. The WTCC, as well as the SCCA. Obviously IndyCar has also raced here. World Touring has also come here a couple times, as well as multiple GT series. And both Can-Am and Trans Am have both raced here. As long as a couple F1 cars have come around this track just for some practice and all that, it's notables. like Ferrari and Mercedes most recently have come here before. So a very diverse amount of cars have come here from all types and all makes and models. So obviously pits will be open this lap. So like I said, top 4 really has not changed throughout this entire race. Hawk obviously in first, and second we have Off-Road. Third is Kart Racer. The only difference right now is D-Dog in fourth, who has silently made his way through the track. We'll see who comes in and who doesn't. Hawk's gonna fake it. Off-Road will come in though. Kart will also fake. Girl next door, Smokey, Cam will all come in. Behind them, you have Edwards. You have FM also coming in. So we see 2 different strategies play out, along with Oracle. No shocker there that he's coming in. Probably the biggest wreck so far of tonight happens on lap number 43. Obviously, caution comes at lap 44. So now with that, this does change up the top 4, or third through fourth for the first time tonight. Obviously MVP and D-Dog. So MVP obviously didn't do much. A little bit of contact to the back of Culture from Panda there. Don't know if there was something prior to this or not. Not quite sure. But some contact for sure there. But obviously...
Now, don't tell me we paused time here. Thank you, AK, for taking over there for a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Needed to maintain homeostasis, if all of you remember biology.
But just like we said, that front stretch pretty narrow, as Oracle and MVP found out.
Oh. Okay then.
MVP hits the inside of the inside wall coming into turn number 12, shoots right up the track and goes completely sideways. MVP with no time to react. Due to pit cycle, goes from 12th to 4th place, so very good for him. But we'll see if he has enough fuel tires to make it.
This is actually a very interesting time to have that happen, because it's probably closer to a dozen laps from now, but that's when the final stop window opens. But now with this, will this throw in...
Green flag this time.
I'm curious if this is going to throw in a wrench.
It's
Hopefully it doesn't do it too much. Yep. And now... Kart, Hawk on the front row. There they go. Green flag back out. For cars, maybe we'll take it a little bit more cautious as we see smoke in the back. So,
4 wide for second. They're at 1 point. Multiple drivers commenting that might not have been the smartest move by all of them. Through the radio chatter.
Maybe. All right, maybe not cautious at the back, but they're cautious at the front.
Cautious through the top 3.
Cautious top 2 at best.
Number first place cautious.
First place, very cautious. Drove away. Now Kart Racer, Kart Racer is right on MVP's bumper, but MVP, we know he has speed.
Oh, girl at your door, very hard, far into the wall and into the wall. Got some multiple positions.
Not quite catch that all the way at the back, but what we did catch. Was Kart getting into the outside tire barrier, entering the hairpin. He didn't lose any ground on MVP, technically, but Kart, he really tried to send it in, so he probably just lost some rear grip and sent him straight into that wall. Or he just kissed it. He didn't go straight into it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen guys kiss that tire wall all the time. Panda completely sideways off turn number 7. He was
Oh
completely sideways
boy,
off the
D-Dog
bumper.
and Panda.
D-Dog and Panda. Obviously, those two have found each other once again. We remember
D-Dog and Panda Dukes are at it again.
remember how this happened last time, and D-Dog almost turned himself off the nose of culture. These two we seen last time. They helped the lawn care services, we'll say, for the most part. And Panda goes straight on into turn number 11. I think that might have been another controller issue.
Yeah, that was definitely a controller issue. Wow, that was rough.
I'm hearing that Panda said his vibration went out not so long ago, so I'm going to say it was definitely a controller issue.
Definitely controller issue.
Panda, I'd recommend changing that.
He gets refired.
If you're hearing this.
Yeah, he's able to get refired now. Now he's on his way.
No caution by the sounds of it from race control, so we will stay green.
Now, this is interesting to me, with D-Dog being in a Toyota this race. Because usually, yeah, last season we saw guys, they switched a couple of manufacturers at a few tracks. And you were allowed to do that last season. This season, I believe you're only allowed to switch manufacturers once. You need to check back in either per the rule book or off of culture and cart.
Yeah, it's definitely something we'd have to check out after the fact.
Very interesting.
It's definitely something we'd have to check out after the fact for sure. But if that is the case, he could be served a penalty. If that is the case, which could very much hinder him.
Not necessarily, because he is allowed to. If the rule that I'm stating is correct, then you are allowed to switch manufacturers once, but that means you can't switch back. So, if D-Dog wasn't allowed to run in a Toyota, but that would mean he would need to be in that Toyota for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so I mean that might be something that race officials look at for next race. If he does change again, then yeah, then the penalty would probably come out, I would imagine, for him.
MVP made his way to first place around Hawk.
Yeah, these top three are all very close to each other, a lot closer than we've seen throughout the race, but obviously coming off a caution. But like we said, MVP's been pretty quietly moving up towards the front. He did have some struggles there for about 10 laps. But he's found his ground back, and he's now moved up to first place. So really rebounded from those bad situations a couple laps ago. Field spreading out fairly well here. Really first through third are the biggest group. A couple smaller groups farther back, but not really more than 3 cars in a group right now.
Yep. And once again, just barely a few laps off of a restart, so definitely we'll have the field spread out. We had the field spread out throughout the whole track at one point, to where everybody was covering some section of track.
Yeah, and that was for our longest green flag run, that being just over a quarter of the race, from the start of the race all the way up to, I believe, lap number 24, but I could be mistaken on that number. Obviously, we expected MVP to be fast, obviously fastest in practice, sitting at 1:12.508 through practice. Or sorry, not
one car is now pulled off, and it looks like girl next door.
Yeah, it's his second time pulling off, so Like we said, to us it may look a little sketchy, but it could be as simple as just needing to take a drink or grabbing water or a snack quickly. Could be something very simple, which I would imagine it is as he fires off the run to get going, but does lose a lot of time to not only the field, but the first place position, obviously gaining a lot of time on him to be the first lap car again. Field's starting to spread out now. First through third have sort of shaved away from the pack and have sort of made their own sort of tiny pack between those three. They're all about equal distance from each other. Hawk snags the wall a little bit, but nothing too major and doesn't lose a lot of time for it.
Hiding all the way in the back. Cam! Oh, in the wall! Cam off of 6 on that straightaway. He was in the wall outside barrier and he got tagged. Got tagged
now
and
he
clipped by someone.
Now
gets Edwards.
So Cam just putting it all on the line for this
Wow.
lap, apparently.
Now, will a yellow be called for that?
Do not think so. I've not heard anything from race control, but obviously 13th place has come into pit, that being next door, number 25 car.
6, I believe.
Oh, sorry, yes, 26 car, sorry. A little scratch on it, so it looks like there might have been a little hole there.
Tiny scratch, couldn't tell. Heading on now off-road, he's starting to make a little ground on Oracle. Off-road, obviously, he has been a top 3, top 4 car the entire race. So, just trying to crawl his way back up, and it looks like he's going to make a move in 6. Nope, Doug tugs back in behind. Maybe sets up a move for 7, though.
Yeah, I mean, this track is about setting up for certain corners. Obviously, you're not really going to pass through these sets of corners right here, but you will be able to set up for a pass coming to turn number 11. So that's really what you use these corners for, is just to set up for that move coming to turn number 11, getting as close as possible, but then dive bomb on the inside.
D-Dog and Culture still next to each other. Culture, he now dives into pit road. So now the pit window, I believe, is opening up. We did say right around lap 44 that it'll be around 10 to 12 laps when the pit window opens. And now Culture in pits. But this is the money stop range. So do we see guys not try to extend it like MVP did the first time? Because MVP, he saw how that worked for him the first time. We had a yellow, and that really costed him a good opportunity to be able to be up front right away, but now he's obviously been able to make his way to the lead. No takers from the top 3 that time.
And like you said about the pit strategy, that's sort of what I said at the beginning of the race, is that you'll see drivers take 1 or 2 stops on their strategy and see if it works. And if it doesn't work like MVPs, you'll see them sort of trying to adjust to everyone else's and maybe sort of choose one of those other 4 strategies that have come into this race so far.
Off-road able to get his way around Oracle, but Oracle not making it easy. He's trying to chase off-road up the hill. Now exit of 2. Looks like we had another taker in pit road. Yes, D-Dog's in pit road.
Yeah, another guy who was running up front before the caution, D-Dog, was one of the silent guys who crept up to 4th place on the 3rd restart of the night. Now, obviously, we're past the 4th one. So, it looks like he'll be changing up his strategy just a little bit here.
Now Kart Racer goes in. Kart Racer goes in, so a little different from what Kart Racer did the first time. The first time he extended it out a little bit. But now he goes in before Hawk even. Hawk hasn't even made his way to pit road yet.
Yeah, and I think he realized how close he cut it last time with that caution being there, so I think he's going to be cautious this time to make sure that doesn't happen and have what happened to MVP happen, right? Because if a caution does come out, him and D-Dog will then most likely be cycled out to at least the top 7 at worst.
And Girl Next Door has pulled off the track again. They're pulled off on the second set of S's on the backstretch.
You'll see MVP pass him now,
Yep.
along with 2nd place Hawk.
MVP, Hawk, any takers to pit road? MVP, no. Hawk, no.
As Next Door fires off again, coming down the turn number 11.
Now let's ride along again with Oracle and see if either Oracle or Off-Road make their way to pit road this time. None from neither one.
And here's where we're seeing the second strategy sort of come out is you had guys early, hit a little bit early, and they're probably going to try and extend their fuel as much as possible to try and see if they can potentially make it all the way on the fuel. This is sort of like getting into the safer territory from here to like lap 60. And then after that is the guys that are stretching it. The guys that are going to try and stretch it maybe lap 65 and try and go for a very short run on the very fresh tires.
Now, the only people who could make it that far were Kart and MVP, which at the way, because when they actually went into pit road. Because the fuel run, if you are able to stretch it out, you're able to get the fuel run to probably go to around maybe almost 30 laps. You're able to get that fuel run out. So, if you're doing the math from the end of the race, you can make it to the end from here. You could make it to the end of the race by pitting now, but a lot of these guys are extending it out a little bit. Hawk, I'm assuming he stayed out this long. He went in kind of more on the earlier side the first run. I'm assuming Hawk is staying out more this time because he wants to pit when MVP goes in.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what he's going to do, is he's going to reflect the rest of his strategy off of MVPs. As there's side-by-side battles between Oracle and Off-Road for 3rd place right now, coming into the runoff area.
Oracle inside. That's a tight squeeze, but now into turn 7.
Yeah, we remember
Contact side by side.
Remember MVP had a very nasty hit coming off those, so I'm sure cars are wanting to be a little more cautious there after that incident.
Hawk is now in. Yeah, Hawk is now in to pit road.
Yeah, I think he's realized MVP strategy is a pretty much do or die strategy like we've seen in past races.
Oh, Off-Road runs a little wide.
Just a little bit.
So he got the pass done. He got the pass done on Oracle, but then he ran wide. Oracle did the crossover, and now Off-Road lost more time than he had actually gained.
Yeah, I mean, that corner, like we've said, has been the corner where most positions have been either gained or lost to overrunning that corner or underrunning that corner. But really, if you don't hit that corner just right, you're going to lose time, and maybe a fair bit of time at that.
And so now, every driver, I believe, in front of Hawk has not gone to pit road yet. Edwards, Cam, Off-Road, and Oracle, neither one of them have made their way to pit road.
Ooh, contact between Oracle and Off-Road.
MVP is now into pit road now.
And I mean, this is a
With
good,
MVP into pit road.
this is a good play by MVP, because if you look at where second place is, there's a very wide gap. So he could actually come out in front of second place, and this might have been a very smart move.
Not quite, because now he's going to get serviced now. His car is stopped, and they're in the hairpin. So there's definitely going to be a smaller gap, and maybe he was hoping for some of these guys to go in behind him. Now he's off and away. He's not quite at the exit yet. Lost the lead. Now he's at the exit.
Fourth place. So yeah, still not bad. He's not very far behind these 3 cars.
Yeah, not very far behind at all, considering these cars are pretty much under a blanket.
So a very good stop by MVP there will give him a huge advantage. If we look at where Hawk is, Hawk was a lot closer than MVP than that before he came in. So Hawk rather loses a lot of time in this pit stop, as there's a battle for first right now between Off-Road and Oracle.
Well, they've been duking it out, even if it was for 4th place. They've been duking it out for a while.
But to be a 4-car battle now.
Cam went off-road. Yeah, about to be a 4-car battle. This could get dicey. Especially here, entering turn 10.
Into turn 12. Oh, here comes MVP.
MVP! Double pass! MVP, wow. That Oracle in. Those 3 cars, they were right next.
What a move by MVP to do
a bad
double
day
pass in that corner.
Those cars were very close to having a bad day real quick.
And Cam gets really loose coming to turn number 2 and almost takes out MVP. Unintentionally, obviously.
Not the greatest that you wanted to see, but now here, off-road is the only thing in the way of MVP, and even then, off-road, he needs to go to pit road.
And if I'm MVP, and you know this, MVP giving him a little tap, you sort of sit behind him. You know he can't make it on fuel. You know Cam can't make it on fuel. So I'd just sit here and wait for them to come in. You have nothing to gain by trying to challenge and potentially ruining your race.
That is true, because one off-road, he doesn't want to give, and then he could end up in hitting him the wrong way, nudging him the wrong way.
MVP going to make the dive bomb down to turn number 11. He'll make it stick, and now he'll take back first place. And great route moves by MVP to make it up to first place yet again.
But now I don't believe off-road will have anything to challenge for MVP necessarily.
So far, fastest lap of the race has gone to MVP with a 1 minute 12.165. A very fast lap, faster than his practice lap, and it might be the fastest lap of all the sessions so far.
Race pace on a road course is surprisingly faster than your qualifying and your practice pace. Ovals, we tend to see a similar notion, but it's for different reasons on an oval. On oval, you have the draft. Road courses, and especially here at Sonoma, to where your longest straightaway is the little straightaway between turn 6 and 7, you don't really have draft. You don't have draft come into play. So here you're just really just running that much raw and faster, because on those older tires, those grippier tires that you love to have on a road course.
Yeah, and he actually just improved on that lap. It went from a 1.68 to a 1.65, so not much faster, but slightly faster. And he's just showing that he can consistently be fast, and that's really how you win these races, just being consistent.
As you say, consistent. He did go off track there a little bit at the exit of the top of the hill. but he wasn't really slow. He just went a tad bit wide. Off-road, not being able to work with him.
Something we should comment on is that while Hawk is in fourth place and currently would break that third place streak, you also have to remember Cam and Off-Road cannot make it from their field right now. So technically he's in second place if everything goes through right. So he will, and at this rate, where he is now, he will continue his third or top 3 streak.
At this rate he can. Now, I'm curious as to how Cam and Off-Road have been able to stay out this long. That, or unless they did go into pit road and we missed their cycle. AK, if you wouldn't mind taking just a quick peek at telemetry.
Yeah, they when I last checked, they were at 50%. That was about a couple laps ago. So I don't think they could make it. I think they might have been some of the first guys to come down. Currently Off-Road at 43%, Cam at 34%. So they definitely cannot make it to the end.
Yeah.
So they will have to pit. It will be probably later. So if I were them, I'd pit now because it gives you more time to make up spots later. You know you have a fairly big gap between, obviously, multiple drivers. If we look at the map, Cam would probably funnel out 5th or 6th, and Oracle would probably funnel out 4th or 5th. So really, not much
Yeah.
loss.
So obviously from the data there, Off-Road and Cam, both drivers that they really are not going to be able to go in. And even if Hawk finishes second, he would then no longer be the points leader. MVP would take over as the points leader because, like we stated at the very beginning of this broadcast, there's a 5-point gap. 5-point gap between first and second, and Hawk only has a 2-point lead over MVP.
Yeah, and I think both these drivers have obviously MVP hasn't didn't come top 3 in the first race, being Daytona, but he also has a win over Hawk, and that's really what's making the difference right now. Well, Hawk has been more consistent overall. MVP has the win, and he's been fairly consistent himself, obviously being in the top 3 and winning. And already has a win on the schedule. MVP looking back to back, so that would literally be the difference. Is that MVP has 2 wins over Hawk's 0 wins.
Yeah, Hawk, he hasn't gotten a win yet this season, but as we stated, he has been consistent, finishing in those top 3s. And Hawk, he can really shine. He would need to shine on an oval. Which, by the way, next week. Not next week, 2 weeks from now, excuse me. Next week we are off XRS. XRS is on an off week because of the NASCAR championship that will be happening, the real championship at Phoenix. So we, out of courtesy of just watching the event, not like we steal NASCAR spotlight, but we have an off weekend next week. So then the following is our next Crown Jewel event at Homestead, Miami, the Strange 600. Strange being Strange Engineering being the sponsor for that event. $50 to the winner. And to give you reference, if you finish second in the championship standings at the end of the season, you get paid $50. So when you really think about it, that's quite a bit of money on the line.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are racing for. As Panda's about to be lapped by MVP right now, coming into lap number 66.
Yeah, MVP is going to need to make his way around 2 cars because further ahead, girl next door.
Obviously, girl next door was parked it 2 times during this stint of the race, so I believe he is down 2 or 3 laps. I think 2. Once MVP passes him this time by. Wouldn't shock me if off-road and Cam come down soon, as off-road comes down right now. Cam will. I think he thought about it, but it was too late to decide if he wanted to do it or not. Cam will probably come in next time. Off-road obviously got in this time, so obviously strategy is starting to play a role in this race, as we see the third different strategy for this stint.
Yep, very much so. And now, Hawk is in third.
Yeah, now Hawk keeps his streak alive.
Now Hawk keeps the streak alive. Playing back further, let's see to someone who started this race on the second row, had an early mistake, and now he's trying to battle for fifth position, with D-Dog, and that being Culture. Two Toyotas, one self-driven car. Also with association, I believe, with Shift Motorsports, though. And then the Trackhouse car in Culture.
Yeah, obviously, right now, Hawk's trying to pass Cam for second coming out of turn 11. Couldn't get any grip out of turn 11 there. But Hawk's really trying to get that second position right now.
Hawk, I'm sure he's going to do what he can here, but at the same time, it's only a few more laps. Tops has to be for Cam at this point.
Yeah, Cam has to come in here very soon, running very low on fuel, just above 15% left in his tank, so you can really only run maybe 2 or 3 more laps, tops. Oh, Panda goes really wide in front of these two, and Cam's just going to say, I'm going to go in. Screw that. That'll give Hawk second place now, and that will give Kart Racer third place. Top 3, don't look much different from the start of the race. Besides,
MVP wasn't there. Yeah. MVP was not there at the start, but we knew he had a fast car in practice. Probably was just put to the back in qualifying, maybe at his request, you never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did spin out on one of the laps in qualifying. So, I don't know. Maybe at that point he didn't like the feeling of his car. But obviously now he likes the feeling of it very much, putting it in first place and also having the fastest lap of the race.
At this point in time in the broadcast, we're nearing towards the home stretch here. Obviously, take a little time, if you will, to please follow us on our social media pages. Obviously, if you're viewing this stream, if you're viewing it live, welcome here. If you're viewing it on Twitch, give us a follow. If you're not viewing it here and you're viewing it on our YouTube channel, still, subscribe and follow there so then you don't miss any XRS action. Highlights of the streams are not posted to the YouTube channel. They are posted on Twitch, and they're also posted on the Instagram page. Instagram page that we have, XRS Xbox, surely just gives you the most up-to-date and really gives you a full XRS experience there as well. So always looking for more followers. News and updates will be provided to you. So please take a little bit of time to do that if you will.
Some action near third place. Kart Racer pushed Panda out of the way, to make sure he didn't have any problems with Panda. Potentially Panda did not like that move too much, is what I'm hearing over the radio chatter.
Well, Panda has been in a lot of bad situations so far this race as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he had incidents with D-Dog. He had incidents with Cart just now. Sure, he's had incidents with other drivers that we haven't been able to catch nor see. So, you never know. You never know if one of these incidents, maybe Panda rubbed the other person the wrong way, or vice versa, someone rubbed Panda the wrong way. Where a penalty could be assessed after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've had, I think, only Daytona without a penalty so far. So definitely.
Well, Daytona, we had our first penalty. So.
Sorry, Daytona did have a first penalty.
Yeah, Daytona, we had our very first penalty. We had a driver. I forget his name, but he didn't have the right spec tune at Daytona, and he qualified in a car that didn't have the correct spec tune. So that is a penalty to him. That disqualified his qualifying time, and then he decided just not to race after that because couldn't get the correct tune equipped. At Mugello, I believe there were no penalties at Mugello. Mugello might have been the one. Because Brian Sats last week, there were 2 distinct penalties.
It was a penalty for Mugello. I do believe it was What's Up as the penalty for Mugello. Currently fairly big gaps between first, second, and third.
Oh yeah, as it's more longer into a run now. A lower risk of a caution coming out here at the end. But once again, you never know. This car's more cycle, and they can get near each other to an extension.
I do.
Started with 16 drivers. Now we're just down to 13, so not that many people have left or disconnected.
Yeah, but a very light week for disconnects and lag outs, which is very good all in all.
Now we also have a lower car count tonight, and it's for different reasons. I mean, it is the weekend of Halloween, by the way, coming up Monday. Happy Halloween to everyone. So we do have some people maybe at family events or Halloween parties, what have you. So there was a slightly busy weekend, but it wasn't busy enough, obviously, to get the weekend off.
Yeah, everyone here is just now part of the Cool Kids Club. We're invited to the parties. We weren't invited to the.
I'm not sure. There's a list for these parties? What? There's a list?
A list of invitations, people you want to hang out with, for sure. All 18 of us here weren't on any of those lists.
Come on, we're XRS celebrities. You've never heard of it? Well, yeah. Then can't say it on screen.
Who said we couldn't have fun in a broadcast booth?
A lot of people take broadcasts very differently. A lot of people think here in the booth, there's a lot of standing around. You're just watching the cars. You see no action. What are you talking about? We get to see all the action here in the booth.
The first part's not wrong. We basically
at our
sit around and
disposal.
watch the race, but we do see action.
Well, yes, we are sitting around watching the race, but there is action around, and commentating. Hey, don't knock it until you try it. And if at any point in time, if any of the drivers they want to take an opportunity, if we have a big field, let's say we have almost 20 cars, and a third driver wants to join us in the booth, that's all open ears. We are willing to have a third driver up here, only for a bigger event though, obviously, because we don't want to have 3 commentators in the booth of 8 drivers, so we don't want to have that. But if we have it to where it's above 16 count, then yeah, we can easily have a third guy in here. That does bring in a different perspective. And so, really, don't knock it until you try it.
And we recommend bringing
for me,
water.
Yes, lots of water.
lots of
I have gone through 3 bottles so far this broadcast, alone. And I believe I'm out. So,
I'm not yet.
We're within.
I'm close.
We're within the final 5-6 laps here. So.
All right, now I'm out of water.
But we're on the closing laps anyway, so we should be fine. Yeah, I remember when I did my first broadcasted stream, I was a color commentator alongside with a play-by-play commentator. It wasn't even for a NASCAR race. It was for a supercars race at Long Beach.
Final answer. Damn it.
No. No, it was for a supercars race at Long Beach. I remember. That was the first broadcast that I did, and I was a color commentator. My first play-by-play broadcast was a race, I believe, that we did at Bathurst.
Mangello, final answer.
Not Mugello. Mamma mia! It's not Mugello. There you go. There you go. Shout out to Kart Racer, because he wanted me to say that last at Mugello, but unfortunately I did not.
There we go. We got it in there. Might have been a little late though.
We got it in. It was a little late.
Might have been
and if
1 or 2 weeks late.
And if you don't agree with it, then well, I can't say it on stream.
I know what you're thinking of and what word you want to say, and I have a perfect accent for it. Unfortunately, we can't. There are limitations. There are limitations.
Top 3 in the field so far. We have MVP still leading the race after he took over. Has had a very successful race overall. He's made very little mistakes, but he did make a mistake early on, though, in that pit stop strategy that he did. Obviously didn't affect him that much. Hawk, he's been a top 4 driver the entire race. Keeping up with that consistency. It's kind of like the George Russell of NASCAR right now. Being able to get consistent finishes. Specifically here in the top 3. Kart Racer, once again, top 4 car all night. And able to make his way in 3rd. I don't know, did he start the race in 3rd? He started the race either 3rd or 4th.
Who, sorry?
Kart Racer.
Yeah. 3rd or 4th. We don't quite know. One of those 2. But obviously cautions are off now because we're on lap number 78 of 81, so 3 laps left in this race.
Yep. No more cautions will be called on track, and in reality, there wasn't much room for one with the rate that all the cars are spread out.
Yeah, and
D-Dog in 4th. D-Dog, he wasn't really a top 4 driver all day, but capitalizing off of mistakes, he's been able to get to that point. But he has Culture right on his tail, who has been a top 4 driver. So that is going to be very be interesting to see whether Culture can actually get around D-Dog here. Because he's close.
Yeah. If he does, 3 of the top 4 positions are almost exactly as they started.
He's able to get side by side here. Culture inside, driver's right of D-Dog, but D-Dog's able to get the drive off.
D-Dog does get the better drive off Matt. Culture will have just a couple more laps to retry that.
If only a couple more laps to try and get there, or at least he has more track ground to make up. One who does not have as much track ground, the leader, making his way around the hairpin, turn 11 right now. And after he makes his way to turn 12 and the start line, it will be 2 to go.
Yeah, and this is, if it wasn't already, this is go time, so there's no holding back. We'll see cars that are close together, like Culture and D-Dog, start giving each other bumps and taps through corners to try and get them loose and get them out of the way to try and get that position back.
You do have a little bit more points finishing over each other. There's not a 1-point gap between those two positions. Being 4th and 5th, I believe there's a 2-point gap between those positions. So it's a small margin, but it's better than just getting only one position over the other. If you were 6 on back, only gaining 1 point by passing a driver.
Yeah, and I mean every point counts, because you never know if you'll miss a race or if your competitors ahead of you will miss a race. So the difference of being in the playoffs and not being in the playoffs could be 1 point or 2 points.
And then last season, when we did make it to the playoffs, there was at one point a 5-point difference between 4th to 8th. So yes, the playoffs can very much get very close. Rounding turn 12, white flag, 1 lap to go for MVP.
I mean, if the only way I think MVP loses is if he makes a giant mistake, which so far he hasn't made one. The only mistakes that he's been caught up in are other people's around him. So it looks like MVP will be cruising to a victory for 2 weeks in a row and being the first multi-winner of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 16-second gap, and on the road course, 16 seconds, way bigger. Obviously, had a very good drive all race long. Just needs to make his way through the final set of S's, through 10 in the hairpin and home.
If I'm MVP, I'm being very cautious, making sure that big mistake does not happen. But we're going to turn number 11, second to last corner. I'll hand it back to you, Sam.
Off of 11 into 12. MVP is able to get his 2nd win on the season, and it comes at Sonoma.
Yeah, very
Top
dominant.
3 MVP, Hawk and Kart Racer.
Very dominating race all night by MVP. Silently got his way up to the front, and eventually getting that win. Going through multiple wrecks that he was involved in. So very well done by him tonight to get that win.
Now Kart Racer able to cross the line. That confirms the top 3. It is MVP in first 4 weeks in a row. Hawk has been able to finish in the top 3. Then Kart Racer able to find his way into a podium finish.
And then behind them are D-Dog in 4th and Culture in 5th. So those are your top 5.
A solid race indeed. We're going to back out of the spectator now that most drivers have concluded the end of the race. And we will start to get these guys in here. for post-race interviews. Heard you. Just make sure that you have your audio connected for the stream. We will. We'll go when everybody's able to be connected and having their audio in check. Okay, just a quick check. Do you three have your mics connected?
Check.
Yeah.
Okay, got a rating on all three of them. There we go. So, now, let's go on to post-race interviews. Top three, starting with third, going on our way to first. So, starting with third, Kart Racer. Now, Kart, you were in the party accidentally before the race started.
Mm-hmm.
Were you predicting when you wanted to be in the party again post-race? You were in here pre-race and post-race.
I was, matter of fact. I joined
I'm just kidding.
and I had to yell at you.
Either way, you were a top four car the entire race, all the way from the start. You were able to pretty much keep yourself in that top four. There at the end, you were able to squeeze in a podium. It's Sonoma. It's a very technical track, so how were you able to rally around to be able to just stay in top three?
Honestly, I have no clue how I was able to be that competitive. Well, I do, but I don't know how I stayed that competitive throughout the whole race. But I did do pretty much a whole nother race before this at this track, and just on my own, making sure I could hit the lines right, trying new stuff, and worked out. I was actually surprised with my lap times, what I got down to, and honestly just tried to enjoy it.
Had a little bit of a rough going there through the middle parts, but like you said, you were able to keep yourself competitive. Rounds off into a top three finish. Congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we go on to second place. Should I just call you George Russell for being Mr. Consistency here? Four races in a row, you're able to finish in the top three. So, yeah, I guess we should just start with that. How are you able to keep your consistency up? 4 races in a row, finishing in the top three.
Consistent. Even though I haven't practiced at all, but also with luck again. I really thought I had a chance at the win, but then MVP got to the top, and then yeah. So it was while it lasted for first, but yeah.
Yeah, there all the way in the beginning stages. MVP was not at the front; he was in the back. But you knew that he had speed, and just tried to ran your race the best you could there at the beginning. You still ran a good race second half. You just weren't quite able to have that top speed. I'm sure a late caution would have been appreciated on your end, because then that would have been a final opportunity.
Yeah.
To try and hold off. But either way, you still come home second. Hopefully you can get top three, but in the way that you're being the guy in first, not second.
Yeah.
Either way, best of luck to you. Keep this streak going, and well, good luck to you next week.
Thank you.
Or 2 weeks from now. Sorry. And now we go to AK for the winner.
Yeah, I'll see MVP coming off win right now. Obviously, last week's winner as well, so that makes him the first multi-winner. How does that feel, MVP?
I mean, feels good. I just was cruising, trying to enjoy the race because Sonoma is one of my favorite tracks to race on. So, all in all, it was a really good day, and I don't got much to say.
Obviously, you started in the back of the pack today, as a fan mentioned earlier. So how did it feel to come up from the back of the pack all the way up to first place and eventually winning the race? And how did you do it?
How do I do it? I just drove the car, I guess. But I chose that I wanted to be back there, and then just decided to dirty every lap in qualifying anyway. So I was starting back there no matter what.
With this win tonight, that makes you the now new points leader in the XRS standings over Hawk. What are your thoughts on that one?
Sorry, bud. Gotta go.
Well, that's MVP winner tonight, being the first multi-winner of the XRS season in race 4. Obviously won last week. So now 2 in a row for MVP. He is your race winner tonight. MVP, congratulations on the win tonight, and good luck in the following weeks to come.
Sounds good.
Back to you, fan.
Right, that concludes post-race interviews and will conclude this broadcast here at Sonoma. XRS Cup Series Race 4 is from Sonoma. Once again, thank you to AK for joining me in the booth this week. And thank you once again for filling in last week in my absence, being able to do a stream on your own channel for XRS. So hopefully you're able to join with me again when we go to Homestead for the Strange 600 at Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a fun one. Obviously, 600 miles, obviously with a prize pool on the line for the winner of that race. So it should definitely be a fun one, and I'm hoping to be there and catching it with you and commentating it with you.
Yep, all good fun. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Next weekend, XRS is off. Fan 2403. Enjoy the rest of your evening.